Marlee from Crystal Paranormal. This is Beyond the Beyond. We have a bit of an echo there.
How's it going, everybody?
Evening all.
Hola.
How's it going?
So today we're discussing mental illness. And this echo is going to give me
Is it still echoing?
It is, Max, yeah.
Hang on. Just try.
All right, checked one. Better.
Might be me.
No, I don't think it was you. It's good now.
Yeah, sounds okay.
Yeah, I don't hear an echo anymore.
Good.
Yeah.
No echo for me. I don't hear an echo.
Nope.
I already keep their stuff at where it's at.
Looking at the chat, that's funny.
Hey, Ray. Hey, Ren.
Hello, Ray. Hello, unpronounceable names.
Oh, that's better. Hi, UN. Or I1.
Hola,
I
¿qué
don't know
tal?
your first. I don't know everybody's first name. I do apologise.
I don't know
Hello,
your
cheeky.
name either.
Just figured all the tech issues here.
Yeah, this is the largest single panel that we've gotten on our show so far. So.
Oh, awesome. Even better.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant.
1, 2, 3,
Yeah, we're
4.
really privileged
What
to
is it?
have
6
everybody
people?
on.
2, 5.
Yeah, I was counting 5.
5?
5. Yeah.
Well, I don't know math.
Yeah, I don't math either.
Oh dear.
In case you missed it the first time, it's being repeated.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So let's see, where do we start with this? I didn't really come up with a game plan on where to start. We didn't really have a chance to talk about that. But yeah, the reason I think most of us are here today is because we've all dealt with mental illness in some form or another.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. Every day.
Every day. Yep. Every single day. Well, that's part of our message here is that you're not alone. You know, both Wes and I both deal with mental illness. It seems that there's a lot of people in the ITC field that do also deal with mental illness. Many of them deal with it positively and proactively and still manage to, you know, live a productive life, have jobs, have the ITC and have the paranormal as a positive hobby in their life, is, you know, not a negative one. And, you know, and unfortunately, there's the small 0.5 to 1% of population of people that we know that, you know, obviously kind of go off the railroad tracks every once in a while. And you don't see them and they come back and they're a little more healthy. And, you know, you'd always just pray for them and hope that they are going in the right direction instead of the wrong one. And,
yeah, no
you know,
doubt.
it's the best that we can do, and just let everybody know that's part of our mission statement is nobody's ever alone. You know, and
That's
we want to
great.
get that out here beyond and beyond is that you're never alone. Even if you think that nobody cares about you and you think that, you know, one of us would be the least, you know, the last person that would ever talk to you, you'd be surprised if you sent one of us a message or an email. And, you know, we would actually respond to you and we would actually care because we do. And
Definitely.
that's part of the reason why we're doing this whole podcast is because we care.
Yeah,
And
no
I
doubt.
know sometimes, you know, the way that, you know, we are on the internet and everything, we like to laugh and joke around and everything else, but that doesn't mean that we don't have a soul. We don't have a heart. We do. And we also have brains and we do know what we're talking about because we've been there. And so, you know, if you think that, you know, it's one of your worst times and all you have available is a crisis number or, you know, a hospital, and you're like, I don't think they're going to take care of me properly there, or they're not going to whatever. Well, we're not telling you to advocate to come to us because we're some kind of service. But if you just needed somebody to talk to, we could help you. We would actually speak with you.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why we're doing the podcast is one of the reasons is to get that across and really make sure everybody knows that. And also just that, that it doesn't have to be demonized. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's not the end of the world. It's not, it's just not, you can still have a great life. You can have a happy life. You can lead an amazing life. And it doesn't mean you need to be on pills or anything like that as well. It's all up to you and a professional. But, at the end of the day, it's just that, we all care, all of us. And, and we're just privileged to have everybody here. And, the mental illness thing was a really big part of us doing this podcast, Wes and I. So, we're really happy to just have everybody here.
Yeah, it's really good of you guys to. It's really good of you guys to approach such a subject, as it's not something that's readily spoken about, especially within the paranormal field as well. And just mental health, just in itself as a subject, is important in my eyes, anyway.
Yeah. There's a lot of shame some people feel about mental health, and they don't feel comfortable talking about it. And it's unfortunate. As I was talking to somebody else earlier today when I left a comment, and it's unfortunate because mental illness is an illness like anything else. I mean, you could have diabetes, you could have cancer, you could have something else. All it is just another illness, and it's simply something that people can't see. And I think maybe because they can't see it, they're afraid of it, because you hear in the media about mental illness, you hear, oh, well, this person, killed this person, or they committed this crime. And then, of course, at the end, they'll take, and this person had this mental illness. So people are afraid of it because of that. And it's just such a taboo topic that people are afraid of it. And we just need to get the word out that it's not something to be ashamed of. It's not something to be scared of either.
Oh, exactly.
No, I agree with you.
100%.
Yeah. If I can ask, Wes, what is it that what for mental health problems do you have?
Depression, anxiety, ADHD, which isn't too big of a deal. But yeah, for a long time, my anxiety was just to the point where I couldn't even talk to people. Mm-hmm. So it's got better since then, but it's always there. But yeah, the anxiety and the depression and the ADHD, but the ADHD isn't that big of a deal to me. I mean, but the other things have been troubling.
And what about you, John?
I suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder and also major depression.
Max?
So major depression kind of means I go to sleep for, like a week at a time. And, yeah.
I can understand that.
I do too.
And Max, for people that don't know you?
Max?
Is she still there?
Yeah, she's still there. Max.
She's adorable. I love her.
I don't think she can hear us at all. Max. Okay.
All right. How about you, Ray? We'll move on to Ray.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have bipolar disorder type 2 with rapid cycling, and with a bit of anxiety, and yeah, that's pretty much what I've got going on.
And me, I'm also bipolar type 2 with ultra rapid cycling, a little anxiety, and PTSD.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to mention, but I do have the anxiety, but that kind of comes with my PTSD. I can't be in a room of crowded people without, tapping my leg at 1,000,000 miles a minute and stuff like that. So
I know that.
I really do have that issue of being out in public. You could almost say that I have an agoraphobic side, I guess. I don't like to be out a lot. And then, what do you call it? I do have OCD. So I know I have it. I'm just one of those people where when I wake up, everything needs to be in its certain place. If it's not, I go a little crazy for a minute. Where's this? I'm just A little weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just live a little bit differently. I think that's how I see it personally.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Mhm.
But you know, people turn around and say, "Oh, about being normal and this, that, and the other." Well, I think this day and age, what is normal?
Oh gosh, yeah. What is normal nowadays, especially now?
Honestly, I mean, you have guys in tiki torches running around with, and it was during the Trump thing, and I mean, you just have so much craziness, and you look at yourself and you go, I would never do that. I would never become a mass shooter. I would never, all of these terrible things. It's just like, this isn't me. This isn't me. And so, honestly, that's a great question. What really is normal today?
Don't go on the keyboard.
Max is back.
I like that. I like that. Jerome. Genuine smile is normal. I like that.
I love that.
She tried to dive on my laptop. They're terrible for it.
Oh dear.
So, Megs, we were just going around talking about what our different mental illnesses were.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I heard you. It's just that I'd unplugged my mic, but I've had to plug it back in, so I hope you don't have an echo. I've turned it right down.
There is an echo, but I think we can deal with it, can't we, Wes?
I think so.
I've got personality disorders. I've got borderline anxiety and traits of a narcissistic personality disorder, severe clinical depression and severe agoraphobia and anxiety disorders. So I got a lot.
You got a mixed bag full there.
I did, yeah. I think I were up front at Q. Mind you, if I were in a queue, I'd like to be in the crazy queue because, a bit more fun really there.
I'm about to say, I agree on that one.
Yeah.
Well, I think I've got to say with having my group, I actually see more normality in there than what I do elsewhere. Sort of just on social media generally.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been normal though. I would never class myself as normal. But then again, nobody in my family is normal. So if I was, I'd stick out like a sore thumb. So,
Yeah, I wouldn't have a clue what normal is.
No, but I mean, it's just a word, isn't it? It's not, I've never wanted to be normal because really it's not me, It's like with the personality disorders. I understand. When the psychiatrist said, you've got blah, 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 I'm like, but it's my personality. How can it be a disorder? I've always been this way. So to me, it's just more things they like to tag on because it's me, it's my personality. And to me, it's not a disorder. It's just who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can completely relate with that one.
Mm-hmm.
If I can ask you all, was it a relief when you got your diagnosis, or did you feel that you were alone or trapped, or?
God, I probably have the weirdest answer.
I know for me it was a release, not a release. It was a relief, and after reading up on like bipolar, especially type 2. It sort of put all the pieces together and made sense for me and explained a lot.
Mine was really easy for me, I guess, because I had probably one of the most amazing psychologists ever. And his name's Paul Barchett, and he's retired now, and I had him for 12 years. But this man would take an extra half an hour to 45 minutes to explain to me exactly what was going on, why I was going to feel the way I was going to feel. He was not one of those psychologists that would push medication in very small dosages. He would give it to you as he's seen, and make sure everything worked, and he would change the combination. Like, he was always available. He always made himself available. So I was really lucky in that way to be able to talk to him, and also in him telling me what's going to happen, and so I could understand and not just read about, what the medicine is going to do on the long pages they give you at the pharmacy when you first get the medicine, but also he was explaining like the entire thing to me, and so that really helped. So I had like a really, even though I did go kind of crazy at times, and I did end up in a crisis unit for like a week here, and then 5 years later I was back in it for another week or something because I was going through really bad stressful times, right? So, but other than that, I mean, there was very little bumps in the road for me, and it was just finding the right combination of meds, and it was, so I was blessed to have him. I know not everybody has the same experience, so
Mm.
Yeah, for me, it was definitely the week. All the nights at night, just laying there crying, wondering what the hell was wrong with me, and to finally find out that there was something that was actually wrong. It was that surgery.
Go on, Rach.
Oh, you got it. Well, I mean, mine it became a relief, but it was kind of a nightmare. My mother had bipolar disorder. She has bipolar disorder still. She always will, but I showed signs of it pretty early, and it was always suspected. So when I finally got involuntarily put into a hospital and I lived in California, that wasn't too surprising, and I wasn't too surprised with the diagnosis either. It didn't become a relief until I just kind of accepted, this is what it is. The only reason it scared me was because I'd watched my mom endure it for so long.
Cool.
yeah, I can really understand.
I'll give you the answer in a minute. I'm going to try to put my headphones in. Hold on.
Okay.
So while she's doing that, I actually wanted to read off a list of people who live with mental illness. And so I just came on this website here. 23 celebrities who have opened up about their struggles with mental illness. I feel like I'm listening to a ghost box. Anyways, Demi Lovato is an outspoken advocate for mental illness. Well, sometimes. Health awareness.
Wes, just before you start, and while Max is just sorting out her headphones because of the echo, because before it gets too bad, maybe just turn Max down a little bit.
Can I do that?
Yeah.
I've turned my volume down now. You shouldn't hear it.
1 2 1 2. Yeah. No, that's all right.
Yeah,
Check
that
one,
sounds
check
good.
It's
Good
just
to
so
me,
that
yeah.
people will be able to hear.
And then the screens will
list
flip
of
out.
names that you're reading off.
Yeah, exactly. So, computer's being weird right now. So, what I was saying was that there's a whole bunch of famous people who have mental illnesses, and one of those people is Demi Lovato. I'm just going to read through a list here of these people. Demi Lovato, who is an outspoken advocate for mental illness. Hellness, I said it again. Mental illness.
We can call it illness.
We can. Definitely. But anyway, mental health awareness. Let's see. Prince Harry has spoken about anxiety and having 2 years of complete chaos in his late 20s. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has had several injuries as freshman year of college. He experienced his first 3 depressions during that time. He was a football player for the Calgary Stampeders way back when. Outspoken advocate for mental health awareness, Demi Lovato is open about her battles with bipolar, bulimia, and addiction.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know about the bulimia.
Yeah, there's Chris Evans with social anxiety. And yeah, there's a whole bunch here, but my computer's being slow, so let me go through them all.
I can probably reel off a few. You got Catherine Zeta-Jones with bipolar. Carrie Fisher had bipolar. Winston Churchill suffered, I think it was with bipolar as well, or depression.
That's what they suspected.
You have Robin Williams who suffered with depression and addiction. Richard Dreyfuss, he suffered with depression. Robin Williams.
Yeah. Jim Carrey.
Virginia Woolf. I think Einstein.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Einstein. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think.
Ernest Hemingway.
Ernest Hemingway.
Yeah.
Tolstoy.
Lots.
Hunter S. Thompson, I do believe, suffered from something like that. Because one of his famous quotes was, "You could be in a room full of 50,000 people and still want to kill yourself."
Very
relatable. Hunter's
very
famous one of his most famous lines. I think he was like at a McGovern's rally because he wanted McGovern to win for the nomination and not Nixon that year. And he told his who is played by Benicio del Toro, but it was actually not his lawyer, but his illustrator, an English fellow named Ralph Steadman. And he told him that line about how you could still be in a room with 50,000 people and want to kill yourself. And he ended up at 65, he ended up taking his own life. So,
ouch.
Yeah.
Well, to bring up one, just because, Wes, you said you have OCD. Howard Stern actually has OCD.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember reading a
100%.
book about him. He would like have all these records all over the place, and
even getting ready for work, he said he had issues. Like he'd have to get up like 2 hours prior just to get ready for work.
Yeah.
Well, Howard banned Gilbert Gottfried because Gilbert spit on their cupcakes. And so that's how Gilbert Gottfried got banned from ever going on the show again, is after he spit on their cupcakes outside of the thing.
Yeah, Howard's really big.
Yeah, and Howard has gone so crazy now because he is so rich and hangs out with Ellen and all that kind of crap that I can't listen to him anymore. He's fired everybody that was funny. And, I know Artie Lang is having problems and he's had a lot of problems, but besides Artie, he's gotten rid of a lot of people, and he's, I bar people from this building. I mean, he bars people from just a whole bunch of stuff, and Robin will come and meet you and, be like, oh yeah, I love you and everything, but you're barred. And stuff like that.
He's always claimed to be a reclusive kind of person. So, I mean, you could definitely see that with his mannerisms. You wouldn't guess it just with his interviewing skills. He's fantastic with interviews.
He is. Oh, he is. And, you can't discount what he did on the radio for years before he ever went to satellite radio. Just what he did on just regular old talk radio. I mean, if it wasn't for Howard, I mean, he would have, he crushed everybody. And everybody copied him.
Well, I mean, it goes to show that a mental illness doesn't have to hinder you from, what your dream is. Because, I mean, that was his dream, was to make it on radio. And he ended up being, he's, king of all media. Come on now.
He is. Absolutely. 100%. He is. And I mean, if you didn't have Howard Stern, you wouldn't have Opie and Anthony and Jim Norton and guys like that, and all that kind of stuff. So, I really, really love Howard, but I just think that, my critical side is that some things have kind of won him over in his later years.
Well, he is getting close to retirement.
Being set in your ways, so,
And Jerome brings up a good point about he used the transcendental meditation. That was a big thing. And actually his mother suffered with depression, and that type of meditation really helped her out, apparently.
Yeah.
From what I read.
That's cool.
But
I mean, meditation can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. It depends on if you choose to make somebody your guru or if you choose to do things on your own. Mm-hmm. And I've watched enough documentaries, especially if you got Netflix, watch Wild Wild Country, to know that that sometimes having a guru ain't the best bloody thing.
No kidding.
I'm telling you.
I've seen some of that. My goodness.
It's great to listen to people and to practice maybe different forms of meditation and that in order to, you know, better yourself or yourself spiritually, mentally, and all those different things. I mean, they work. They're there for a reason. They you know, they've been around for thousands of years. But people do also take advantage of others through that. And we could take a whole other show about how people with mental health can be, you know, made, we could talk about how people that have mental health problems could be, what's the word I'm looking for? Victimized or led down different paths by other people or whatever. But, you know, I'm not saying that they're easily suggestible. I'm just saying that certain people can be if they choose to, you know, who, you know, like the people that ally themselves with Stephen Huff. They know that Huff, you know, is done, but at the same time, they're still going to sing his praises. So,
I mean, when you're in desperate mode, you know, you're going to go for whatever you think, you know, is going to work for you. And sometimes that's just anything you can get your hands on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I would agree.
Right, I'm on my phone, headphones on, so there shouldn't be any echo from me at all.
Audio is perfect.
Fantastic.
Yeah, don't hear anything. I hear you, but I don't hear the echo.
Excellent. I don't know why I felt like inserting in a maniacal laugh then, you know. That's the crazy part of me, sorry. Dr. Evil. Well, I've missed a bit of this conversation now, so I don't know what we were talking about then, really. Catch up, somebody?
We were... that moment when someone has to...
My blank.
I was in chat.
I heard John talking meditation, but I didn't hear the rest.
Well, I gotta say, me personally, I really look up to Winston Churchill. He's personally one person I quite like to look up to the most, as far as anybody I've got to look up to, as somebody who inspires me at least. He might be dead, but he's somebody I've read a lot about, and I don't know, he's somebody that keeps me going, at least inspires me when I'm down.
All right,
Yes.
okay.
It's a good guy to
Mine's Conley. I mean, everybody wants to go to meditation and things like that. I go to Billy Conley. It makes me... I laugh my arse off when I watch it.
Well, I think it is true. You know, a laugh a day keeps the doctor away.
It does.
And laughter is the best medicine. And I really do agree with that.
I watch a lot of stand-up.
There's days I my head off the pillow, put Billy Conley on, you know, I feel 100 times better. So, you know, he's my go-to guy.
Yeah, on the comedy thing, it's amazing how many comedians live with mental illness. They use that to kind of cope with it and mask it.
Yeah.
They use that as kind of probably a healing tool for them, as well as, you know, the people who are actually watching it. It helps them as well, so it's a good thing.
It's a good form of relief, and it's also a great way to kind of mask what you may be feeling at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you look at Ari Shaffir, especially, like, I think it's Ari Shaffir's most recent appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast, which I think was like yesterday or the day before, where he talks about where he was literally suicidal and like he was telling like Comedy Central to go F themselves and all sorts of stuff, and he wanted to die, and Rogan was going crazy. Yeah, it was like they had this down to earth, like you wouldn't think that Ari Shaffir would suffer with depression that bad, and he goes right into it, and you're just like, wow.
Yeah, he went pretty hard on that.
And Joe Rogan really cares about his friends. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, Joe Rogan, like, got Ari to a good psychotherapist like that once he managed to talk him into it. And then that guy said, and then Ari goes, yeah, that guy really helped me. Because Ari was this close from jumping off that edge. You know what I mean? Doing something bad. And Rogan finally got him some help. And Joe Rogan's the kind of guy that...
He's good, man.
He even though he smokes a little pot and he does drink and stuff like that, he he's seen addiction. He doesn't quite understand addiction the way that an addict would understand addiction. And
Oh, yeah.
Joey Diaz has said this multiple times that, like Rogan didn't start smoking weed until he was in his, mid 20s or whatever,
Right.
mid to late 20s. But because he played pool and he was in pool halls and such, like he saw there was a guy there that would do heroin in the bathroom and puke in the bathroom and then come out and he was the world's greatest pool player on heroin. It just dialed
Oh,
him
I
in.
know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, he's got these amazing stories, and Diaz talks about it too. And so, like, Rogan would always, be like, hey, what's going on? I don't get this. You know what I mean? And like, he would have to sit down and break it down, to Joe so that Joe would understand it, because he's one of those kind of guys that needs the science. He needs everything behind something. And, so, but once he gets it, then it's like, okay, I know what I need to do. He just wants to help his friends. And, it's just like just the podcast was amazing. It was just amazing, really. Like, talk about a victory for, friends helping each other in times of mental health crisis. It's not, like, oh, I'm going to phone the police and send them to this person's house because my friend's having a crisis, which could really turn bad, right? We all know that. So, that's one of the worst things you could do. And so he did it the right way, He really
I
did.
think so.
And,
I think sometimes that you have to get the police involved, especially to do a
oh,
welfare check.
Yeah,
I
me
know
too.
with
Yeah.
I know with my group that even I've had to dial internationally to the States to organise a welfare check on somebody
I,
because they were
I,
suicidal or they've actually done something. And
yeah,
I know
I've had
that
that before.
I know a few
I've had
people have
welfare
actually,
checks on me many, many years ago.
yeah,
Hasn't happened in over 11 years, but since the last one. But the last one, yeah. Like I've had welfare checks on me and stuff like
yeah.
that.
I know that the people that we've had to do it on have they might have been angry to begin with, but eventually, they've said thank you. You saved you saved my life.
Exactly. It's you're not doing it to be a bad person. You're only doing it because you care about that person and you
Exactly.
don't want them to die.
Exactly.
You don't
Yeah.
want anything bad to happen to them, so you send the police just to make sure they're all right. And even the
Yeah.
police will say, we're not here to make any trouble. We just want to make sure you've answered your door and you're okay. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all we're doing. That's all our
Yeah.
job is. If you feel bad, here's our card. You know what I mean? And that's one of the best things you can do for somebody who's too far for you to get to. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. I was about to say I'd call on anybody that was my friend.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
these are complete strangers. I don't really
Yeah.
know. I only know like their name.
It's
You know, from Facebook, and it's just through
yeah.
detective work and trying
I'm
to
about
get
to
hold of
say
family members or I've lost count the amount of times I've had to do it over the last 8 years
I'd find you out.
with
Mhm.
with having my group. It's just thankfully it's not a common thing
Yeah.
It's a
that we've
great
had to
group.
go to that extreme. Thank you.
Does mental health run in all of your families? I always find that fascinating that you usually see more than one person in a family with it.
Yeah, my mother.
Well, one of my youngest sisters suffers with anxiety, and my sister that's 3 years younger than me, she's just going through the process of assessment for my nephew who is somewhere on the autistic spectrum,
Yeah,
and he's 5.
Oh,
my mother has the depression and the anxiety as well. So I think that's kind of where I inherit that from.
Mine is all on my mom's side. My mom has bipolar disorder. Her mother had it, and her mother's mother had it. So it runs pretty strong on the female side.
Yeah.
I think it tends to more run from especially with regards to bipolar. With other mental illnesses, I can't really say because I don't know. but bipolar. I'm not going to say I'm a walking encyclopedia, but I've researched a lot over the last 8 years, especially since I've had my group. Anyway, it tends to run more in females than males, and the females that have got bipolar, they tend to be more open than the males. I know that this does tend to be a problem. It is sort of for men or males, should I say, that if they do have some type of mental illness, they find it a lot more of a greater struggle coming to terms with a diagnosis or living with a diagnosis or even talking about it. And not many people will actually mention that the suicide rate is actually quite high when it comes to men committing suicide than women.
Yeah, they've got a higher completion rate of suicide for sure.
Watch the Red Pill if you want to watch a documentary on that. It's something that it really highlights that.
One great documentary I watched. Go on, Mag, sorry.
Depression runs on both sides of my family. Quite badly. I mean, hospitalisation badly. But anxiety runs on my dad's side more than my mum's side. So it's, but it's kind of usually with most of them, it's been one or the other. It got to me, and I was like my mum's last child, and both my sisters and my brother have all been on the mental health team for depression. And then I went, and it was kind of like I had theirs and everybody else's load as well. But I don't know. It's like, I don't think there's a cousin who I know who hasn't been on antidepressants at some point or some form of medication or something like that. So it kind of always fascinates me that it actually does seem to. I mean, now Chloe's been on the mental health team. My son, Martin, he's suffered badly with depression. He has ADHD, but when he got older and 16, 17, he went into a really bad depressive slump. And, he's tried killing himself several times and things like that. Although he switched from depressed to total hyper, and it's not bipolar, it's just that his ADHD is still prevalent with him, but then he'll go into a slump with his depression. So it kind of presents itself kind of bipolarish, but it's not. It's just his hyperactivity disorder and depression. But when the depression hit him, when his hormones all kicked in and everything else, it hit him hard, really bad. And, it's like there is every other week there's some kind of drama with his anxiety, where, with his hyperactivity. But it's like his anxiety, but it's not. It's his hyperactivity and his depression waging war with each other. And it's really hard because it kicks off really badly, But it's not bipolar. It just kind of presents at it. It swings too fast for bipolar. Do you know what I mean? It's like a same day kind of thing. You can be totally and utterly depressed, and then the next day the next hour he's climbing the walls with his hyperactivity, and they can't treat it. And there's been a load of he's been doing some research on Ritalin because he was on Ritalin for a long time, and apparently now it's causing all kinds of mental health issues from the Ritalin itself. For long-term use of Ritalin. Yeah. It's causing all problems with depression and different mental health issues. So he's been going to the doctors and saying, I want to know what it's done to me. He was on Ritalin a long time. And he's 30 this year. So, and I think he started on Ritalin when he was 6.
Oh, wow.
So it took him off. Yeah, it was bad. He set my house on fire, he stabbed me, he hit me with hammers, he was bad, But when he got older and it swung to depression, they weren't expecting it. Nobody expected it because he was one of the earlier ones on the Ritalin, Like I said, he's coming up to 30 this year.
Well, since it's an upper, I mean, that isn't uncommon to hear from at all, actually.
Yeah, it was really strange. So now we're trying to find out what it could have done to him. Hang on, guys, on the keyboard.
Well,
now we're trying to find out what the long-term problems could be for him.
Well, stimulus in general, depending, I mean, what you have going on with you mentally. I mean, like, for instance, in bipolar disorder patients type 1, they would never put on a stimulant of any kind because that would put them in a manic phase, which will eventually put them down into a deep depression. It makes the highs and lows go so fast.
Yeah, I mean, we've had to go down to him out of the canal once. He jumped in the canal trunk, and you know, things like that. It's hard.
Oh, I can imagine. Is he still on the Ritalin, or is he off of it now?
No, he's on antipsychotics and antidepressants at the minute. So, you know, I mean, we know his ADHD is there. It's just Ritalin stopped becoming effective as he got older. You know,
that's common.
He needed.
That
the doses that he needed.
A lot of medications.
Pardon, Zara.
That happens with a lot of medications. So you get a you stop being med compliant.
Yeah. But you get used to them. I've done that. I've done the rounds on every antipsychotic, every antidepressant, you know, since I was 16 and I first went on, you know, any meds. I mean, I've done the rounds. Do you know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah, that's how my mom is.
Yeah, you can get to the highest dose you can have, and it starts becoming ineffective. Then you've got to change again and change again and change again and change again. You know, it's just like a bit of a roundabout, really, isn't it?
Sometimes
That's true.
It's all about finding the right combo too. So, you know, everybody's body and brain is different. So
exactly.
Yeah. But it's hard because a lot of the medication is so specific to one thing. They'll say, you know, they'll help with anxiety attacks if you have an antidepressant, but they don't always, you know. And it's like John just said, it has to be right for you. You have to find that right thing. But it's not always easy to do. But still, after you've been on them a while, you're still going to have to change them eventually because your body just becomes used to them and you've got to try again and start again. You know, I've been on medications on and off for 30 years now. You know, it's a long time to be on some form of medication or other.
It is, but if it keeps you stable and that you're able to function to some normality, shall we say, for intensive purposes, then it's not a bad thing. It's like I'm
not on anything. I can't be on anything because I can't see my doctor being agoraphobic. I can't go out the house.
Sure.
And you know, you have to go out of the house to get the blood test. I can't have a blood test done because I've got to go out for them, so they won't prescribe me anything. So I'm kind of stuck, you know, in the house now, not being able to go out and get the medication that could help me get out of the house.
Well, you're like myself. I'm not on currently any medication at this point in time. The only things I was on Lamictal, which it's more of a mood stabilizer, and clonazepam, which is a benzodiazepine, and I think that's all I've ever been on.
Well, I take the same. I take lamotrigine. I call it the other name.
Yeah, I'm about to say that's the actual name.
The other medication.
I got the brand name.
Yeah, the other one that I take mostly over winter time is metazapine, which is Remeron. But occasionally I do take quetiapine, which is an antipsychotic. Seroquel is the old name.
Oh, I can't do that one at all.
But I only actually take that for sleep because sleep meds don't work with me.
Yeah, that's what I struggled with. They put me on Seroquel. I tried 2 days was all it took. I was like, I can't take this. It made me very weird. Weirder than I am.
I'll get restless leg syndrome with if I'm taking it too long.
Yeah, I was on Seroquel. The doctor actually thinks that's what caused my diabetes, but I've also been on Wellbutrin. I've been on Ritalin, um, uh, Risperidone. I'm on nothing now. Yeah.
Yeah, the amount of med names. Oh my god, that I've seen
Oh my
over the
goodness.
There's
years.
a list.
Well,
Yeah, you go through the PAMs, then you go through the whatever they are.
I actually worked for a global in the global pharmacovigilance department for Sandoz, which is part of Hexal and Novartis. So I was actually in the adverse reactions.
Yep.
So
Oh, wow.
typing out reports every single day and doing some research on some other stuff and hearing about like the double-blinded studies, the other the patient leaflets. The department I was in, we dealt with the whole shebang. So yeah.
My dad he was a psych nurse for 11 years. So even before I got a diagnosis, and even before my mom was diagnosed, technically, I got well versed in psych.
Well, I think actually the most knowledgeable people, including like people that work in the mental health fields and like people that do suffer with mental illness. I think, and I'm not going to say experts because obviously we can't be experts, but I think to a degree, especially if you're in some type of support group, you do actually become so knowledgeable that sometimes you actually give better advice than somebody's psychiatrist.
I agree.
Because you live you're living with it daily.
Exactly. When you live with it daily, I mean, come on. Who's going to know better?
Psychiatrists that'd make you go, what? Are you shitting me? Because I swear to God, the stuff that they tell you to do is ridiculous. I think I told Wes last time I got one that told me to eat broccoli. I swear to God, eat broccoli. I mean, I eat broccoli like 2 or 3 times a week. It's my favourite veg. But, I sat there with my mouth open looking at this man. And, I kind of figured, well, I'm here because I'm crazy. So I let loose on him. And I told him exactly what I thought of him. And then my therapist come and took me out of the room,
Wes, if I may, can I answer Dave?
Yes.
Thank you. It's Dave. I saw your comment with ignoring that's totally wrong with your life and start worrying about the future.
Saw that too.
One thing that I've learned: if you want to be able to go forward with the future, what you have to do is to actually face the past and the present and deal with that and make peace with that before you can actually move on. It's like I have to work. I've got a lot of issues from my past. Some people know, some people don't. I'm not going to go into it here. But you really need to deal with those issues, and it's like finishing a chapter of a book. You really need to deal with it, work through it if you need to, and close that chapter, because without closing those chapters, it's just going to be like an open book all the time. And as soon as you think you're starting to go forward, you're going to take 3 steps back all the time, because a situation is going to arise where you've not actually worked through it in the past. I don't know if you actually understand what I'm saying there.
I get what you're saying. Well, we all get stuck in ruts.
Always get stuck in a rut.
I think we all do.
Yeah, we've all had our times.
I mean, realism, you have to be realistic. Life can be shit. Let's be honest. Life
for
isn't
everybody.
fair, and it's not great. It isn't always, roses and flowers and things like that. Life can be hard, and you have to be realistic. When you're in therapy, you've got to be honest and be realistic. In any kind of therapy, you've got to be open and honest. And
True.
you know, life is hard. It's hard. So be realistic. If you make a mistake, you've made a mistake. If you have a step backwards, you've had a step backwards. It's not the end of the world, you know. Just be honest with yourself about it. You know, if honest with anybody.
And if you need extra help, it's not, you know, that's not a bad thing either.
One book I got, and I can really highly recommend this to everybody. It's a bit like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy.
I might have it.
And it's called Mind Over Mood.
I have that book.
And I tell you, it is a lifesaver.
It really is.
I haven't picked it up in about a year, I must admit, but it helps you to identify the problem, especially if you do have some type of PTSD or something that does trigger you. It helps you to identify those triggers and how best that you can not necessarily work through those things, but be able to better cope with certain situations.
Agreed.
I can always. I've not done CBT myself. I've read a lot on it, and I talk a lot with my psychiatrist. And sort of a CBT, like cognitive behavioral therapy, or DBT, behavior. Hang on. DBT is.
I forget it too all the time.
I've forgotten what it is.
Hang on, I can look it up.
The other one.
The other one, I know. I'm always
the other one
for sure.
CBT, I think, was my favorite. DBT,
cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah,
I once a year.
After that acronym, oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oops.
It's an ex. I wouldn't exactly call him a friend anymore, but somebody that I know that I used to be close to. He was having some real problems with the therapist that he was seeing. The therapist or psychiatrist, I can't remember now. And I actually went through a few chapters with him with my book. And he actually turned around and said to me, do you know what? In the last hour that I've been talking to you, I think I've learned more talking to you in that hour than God knows how many months I've been seeing with this person, because I've actually given him tools that he can work with. Whereas the therapist that he was seeing, a lot of it was just not even him talking, it was the therapist talking. Which to me is absolutely pointless.
I've had good luck with therapy. I got real lucky though on mine. Some people, it takes a few tries to find a therapist that they can actually work with, and you have to have that trust factor too, which is kind of hard to find sometimes.
Yeah.
But I would believe in therapy if you can find it.
True. I've been with my psychiatrist 10 years on the 25th of September.
I've been with my psychiatrist for, God, how long has it been? I think it's only been like 5 years. It's 5 years.
And she's for at least 10 or 12, and then once Canada pulled a lot of the funding for mental health, unfortunately most of us lifers got bounced to our family, like our GPs, and that way, so now like our general practitioners basically when my psychiatrist, he retired because of what was going on with the medical situation here, and he couldn't help people the way he wanted to, so he sent my general practitioner a letter saying just don't screw with his meds, just leave them where they are, you know, that kind of a thing. And everybody kind of pulled out because of we used to have awesome mental health care here, and now it's gone. And so now you got to go through central intake, and you know, I mean, I refer people through there all the time, and they say it takes forever to get in, and so yeah.
But I think
it's not the greatest here anymore.
that's actually really wrong with your GP doing all your work, all the work when you actually suffer with a mental illness, or they turn around and say, "Oh, you've got this mental illness," because they don't actually have the training to give out a mental illness diagnosis.
Bingo.
No, they don't. No.
They don't.
He doesn't know anything about it, and so he just prescribes the meds. That's it.
Even then, a GP shouldn't actually be prescribing mental illness medication.
Oh, I completely agree with you. It's just the only way that we can get it prescribed to us is because they bounced us through to the GPs, and that's what's
really
going
bad.
on in Canada.
That's really bad.
Unfortunately, Canada likes to screw around with us. So,
It sounds kind of like what goes through. I've never seen, when I go through the NHS, I've waited 18 months to get an assessment appointment, just an assessment appointment, and then another 6 months to see a therapist or a psychologist.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad in the UK.
And I've never seen people twice. Never seen the same people twice, and I've been doing it until I was 16 years old, and I've never seen the same person twice.
Yeah, the UK is bad. They have closed down so many psychiatric hospitals, psychiatric practices. They've cut the funding. The psychiatric hospitals are overfilled, so the NHS are actually having to send people to private hospitals. It is bad over there.
They closed our local called Eskdale unit. They closed it down a few years ago, and it was good because they used to have a day hospital there as well, so you could go to the day ward and you could get your therapy daily.
I mean, I was just lucky. I'm sorry to cut you off. I was just lucky, but to go back to CBT and that, my therapist, she literally decided to not go back to school to get her master's and doctorate because she wanted to write her thesis on me. And so she was like, if you're going to stick with me for another year, then I'm not going back to school. If it's okay with you, I'm going to write my thesis on you and everything to get my doctorate. You know what I mean? Or the master's. And so I was like, okay, let's do this, because she would record tapes for me at her own house that I would listen to and then have to go and, do the SIDS number from 1 to 5. How do I feel? And then try to break that down by half. She really challenged me to get outside, to push myself just a little bit, every day. And I'm really grateful to her. And because in Canada, there's no statute of limitations. In the United States, there's 6 years for rape. There's, whatever. There's always a statute except for murder, right? So, but here there isn't. And so a lot of the stuff that happened to me is a crime. I just haven't elected to press charges. And I haven't done some nice things. So I kind of said, if you want the full story, then you're going to have to agree to not contact the police. And so she went to her boss, and her boss said, as long as it hasn't happened within the last 2 weeks, which none of it did, we're talking 10 years before that. And so none of that. And as long as it didn't involve a child, we're fine. And I was like, okay, thank you. Because I was the child victim. You know what I mean? And I didn't want it disclosed to the police. That's all. I wanted everything to stay. And then obviously I've done some bad things, but not rape or abuse or anything. I've beaten people up and stuff like that, and that kind of crap. And you can still be charged for it. So I just didn't want to get in trouble, and I wanted to have an honest relationship with my therapist. And so she was really awesome, and she even didn't go I guess she did what she could, but she gave up a year of schooling to continue to serve me basically in that capacity. So when mental health care was good in Canada, especially in my town, it was great. But now it's terrible. It's terrible. It's basically, what Megs is talking about now. And what, go ahead, Zara. Go ahead.
I was going to say, no, the system here in Germany is actually absolutely fantastic.
You guys have a very unique system, all of you.
I'm brilliant.
I think I'm the only American here, aren't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
well, thanks everybody.
I went through my GP, got a referral to my psychiatrist. She's the only person that I've seen. And I think I only waited, I think it's maybe about 10 days to 2 weeks for an appointment. I saw it as an emergency appointment. I also went to the day clinic, which is 7 minutes up the road on my bike. And I actually got in there pretty quick. The types of therapy I did there was brilliant, including horse therapy. Which was amazing.
I heard that's awesome.
When I went inpatient, which is about 2 hours away from here on the border to Austria, I was in there for 7 weeks, I think it was. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The only downfall was that the routine that I got myself, I fell out of after about 2 weeks of being there, after coming home. But when it comes to mental illness, I really cannot fault the system here. It's like over here they class bipolar as a chronic illness, which it is anyway.
We do.
They class it as a disability, so I have a disability card. I really, really cannot fault it. And I've had a few people say to me, will you ever come back to England? And I've said with the state of the health service that it is in England, especially mental health service, no.
I wouldn't.
No.
I want to go to Germany now. I mean, the only problem with the United States, I would say, is probably the cost of everything. We pay for, no matter if you have insurance or not, there's always a copay. On top of that, paying for your meds, there's still a copay with that. Just because you have insurance doesn't mean a damn thing.
Your medications are just so expensive.
They're extremely expensive. One of my mother's medications.
I don't understand that.
One of hers, I think, is like about $600 without insurance.
Holy shit.
And that's for a month's supply. So I don't, and that's what always baffles me between hearing how the system works for you guys compared to our system. It's insane.
It's crazy.
Where I'm from, you give us generic. Yeah. If you want brand name, you got to ask for it.
It doesn't matter here at all. You can be on generic.
Well, they more or less work exactly the same anyway. It doesn't matter whether it's generic or brand.
Oh, absolutely.
The actual major differences is minimal.
No, it's fairly nothing. I don't really think there is much of a difference. So I've taken generic.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the only problem in America is probably the issue with people, because there are a lot of people that don't have insurance or don't have really good insurance. They may be on a different type of plan. We have things called PPOs and HMOs. HMOs not being the favorite. Medicare, Medicaid. Depending on what you have, some doctors will not take you at all. Pharmacies won't fill what you need. So you're left with people just falling through the cracks all because they cannot pay.
It's terrible. I mean, Michael Moore's Sicko really explains the old HMO thing and how it got started under Nixon and all of that, how the HMO programs. And it's terrible. I just got to say it's terrible. I know a lot of people back in the day when I was active on Facebook in the U.S. that were dealing with Lyme, and Lyme was coming to Canada. And so I was helping cover that for alternative media and just what's going on out there. And because of the whole opiate crisis, doctors are afraid to prescribe opiates. They're afraid to prescribe people the drugs they need. They'll give you Effexor for panic attacks when they could simply give you Xanax or lorazepam. Those Xanax very strong.
Yeah, but the problem with Xanax though is it's a benzo and highly addictive.
Oh, I know.
Yes, all benzos.
What I mean. That's what I mean. Doctors are afraid to prescribe something that will help right away, but it does have a price. They are addictive. Whereas, I've been on Effexor and I've been on up to 600 milligrams, and then the doctor told me after that it would be toxic to take, and so that didn't work, and they had to bounce it out. But my point is that if I was a physician, or especially in mental health, and I had somebody that came to me in a panic I would give them a small benzo like lorazepam in a very small dose, or like clonazepam in a 0.5 milligram dose to get them calmed down. And then I would give them the antidepressant or the antipsychotic for them to get used to over 21 days. And then I would slowly take them off the benzo if they continue to take it on a as needed basis, not on
as
a
a
prescribed
PRN.
basis.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-RN, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there can be some issues with that. See, my whole deal is maybe this is just in America. I mean, we're very quick to prescribe just about everything, and I'm not against medication at all. Like my mother, God bless, keep her on medication forever. She needs it to function. But I really wish that we would incorporate more. Start teaching natural ways of working with mental illness to get through it as well. Because I feel like that's not taught enough. On top of that, also maybe offering help to our caregivers, such as like my spouse, for instance, would be my caregiver.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. I really think that is very important. I was just meaning in a crisis situation, if I had a patient come to me, that's what I would do. But I mean, where you're coming from is like from the, let's build something, you know what I mean? And I'm totally on board with you with that.
When you're in a crisis situation, you got to handle it a certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, when you first enter in, especially here, and they'll give you what they think you need at the time.
Yeah. But,
especially if you need to calm down.
What you were saying, though, is the right approach, especially, more education, especially for caregivers that they don't know what's going on. They just know that they want to help you,
And they don't know how, usually.
The way that you're describing it is amazing, and I wish they would do that all over the world, not just in certain countries or certain states or provinces, but everywhere.
Well, that's what I currently advocate for now here, is what I'm advocating for, especially on the caregiver part, and just teaching more natural methods would be nice, because even alongside your medication, to know how to naturally work with it.
I think especially if you get newly diagnosed with a mental illness, the problem a lot of people think is that, you just take your medicine and that's going to be it, and you're all going to be healed and everything's going to be hunky-dory.
Yeah,
but
that's not always the case.
It's not the case at all. You have to be active in trying to, I'm not going to say cure yourself, because a lot of stuff there's no cure. It's mental illness.
You need to be proactive in managing.
You need to be proactive. You do, and I know with regards to bipolar, it's I turn around and say to people that regardless of what phase they tend to be in, you have to excuse me not being on camera. I'm having a cigarette. But I say to them, if you're in a high phase, myself and the co-founder of my group, we talk about integration a lot, isn't it? Integrating your mental illness into your daily life. So if you happen to be in a high phase, just go with the flow with it, but just be aware of not going too high. And because I found, and I know some other people have found, if you try and fight, it's like a high phase, you're going to end up in it longer and it's going to be worse. And with the same with a low phase, is go with the flow with it. If you need a duvet day, I want once a week, take a duvet day.
Oh, Portia.
Once a week. And that's just like my downtime to recharge my batteries, so to speak. But even if I am in a low phase, I have to be very aware of how I'm feeling at that minute in the time, at that precise moment, if I'm going too low. And then if I end up going too low, then that's when that's when my crisis plan kicks in.
Yes.
I'm really lucky that I've got a partner that, she can see when I'm going into the low phases. And then, and then the thing is for her is like, we've been together almost 4 years. So in the beginning, it was like, what can I do for you? And she would cry. And I would be like, the whole, it's not you, it's me, You know what I mean? And like in a lot of relationships, that doesn't always work right away. And so I had to explain everything. But now she understands that, you know what I mean? Like it's nothing, you know, she's like, I try so hard, I do this, and it's like, no, it's nothing that you've done, you know?
No, it's just a
And
phase that you happen to be in. I think
exactly.
it's I know my sister can take one look at me and she'll know exactly how I'm feeling just through little mannerisms and little things that I do.
Yeah.
And it's same as you know where I talk to Glenn a lot. It's practically on a daily basis, and we're talking like for more than an hour.
It's good though.
So over the
Oh,
phone,
very.
he's learnt you know, hearing the tones of my voice and being rapid cycling anyway, bless him, he can
I
actually
know.
get the brunt of it.
My husband's in the same position as Glenn, so I feel for them. I do.
My girlfriend too. I feel for my poor
Zara was
girlfriend
so
because she
bad.
goes and she deals with crabby old people all day at work, and then she comes home and has to deal with crabby old me. So you know.
Yeah, I know. That's how I feel with my husband. I'm like, going from one to the other. It's like, can't win. But you know, he does pretty well, and I've gotten to a point. But I like, I don't know. Before I forget, Portia had a question as far as you know regarding as we're all in the paranormal.
I saw that.
Yeah. So, what's your opinion on mental illness and working with spirit?
I personally think, well, as you know, before the stream, I did touch on something. I think those people that have had like depression or have a daily problem with a mental illness, where we are, our eyes tend to be more open because we have to be aware 24/7 of how we're feeling, what's in our surroundings. So we actually see the world with different eyes. So with working with spirit, because we're a lot more open, because we have to be with ourselves and with the world around us, working with spirit, I think to a degree actually comes a bit easier to make. No, I'm not saying to all of us. I mean, for some of us, it comes a bit easier.
I believe the
I
same
agree
thing.
with that. I'm not spiritual, you know. I tell people this. I'm pretty much, you know, high on the skepticism scale a lot of the time. But I think living in my house, being brought up in a house that was haunted, but living in this house particularly, I mean, I've gone through, you know, a big chunk of me. I've been here 17 years. So I've gone through a big chunk of my mental illness in this house. But from day one, I had spirit here. And I mean, literally day one, you know, doors going, steps up the, you know, footsteps up the stairs, things like that. But we kind of learned to just deal with it with each other, I suppose, you know. And it's kind of, I mean, our Chloe said to me yesterday, my telly's going on and off, Mum, will you bloody tell him to F off? I said, I will not, you tell him. But use language. And, you know, I said, is it just turning off because it'll be standby? She went, no, it's turning on and off. I said, right, well, just tell him. But I think being ill, it does leave you open. Like Zara said, I think because we're used to looking at things in a different way. We're open, but we're also used to look at people with mental illness. Don't always look at things front to back. We kind of look sideways at things. So I think that helps a lot. And we're not always as, I don't want to use the word scared because, you know, it's not, but we just accept different things, I think, a lot of the time because we live with different every day. When you live with different every day or you see the world in a different view every day, contacting spirits or knowing that spirits exist is a lot easier to accept. My opinion.
I think it is. I know that. I know that you can, even on YouTube, if you research it, is people with schizophrenia and spiritual awakening and a psychic connection. there could actually be some truth in it. I'm not saying it's definitely what's happening to that person, but I would possibly think that in some circumstances that could be what these people with schizophrenia or schizoaffective, a spiritual awakening and being in contact with spirit, it could possibly be these voices that they're hearing.
It could also heighten it if they are open, like we thought they had. Maybe they do have the illness, but maybe it's worse because they're so open to it, and they are hearing spirits as well, which would only compound it, an already existing illness. And if voices and things like that, it could actually be both as well. So, they're open to it. You've got to look at it from both sides, I think. But yeah, I agree. I think a lot of times schizophrenic aren't always schizophrenic to a certain degree. I think they may be open to spirit as well.
Mm.
Well, I have to say I agree on a lot with both of what y'all have said. As far as mental illness and working with spirit, though, there's only one limitation I have is when I'm on a downslope. Being type 2, I tend to go, I don't hit mania, I hit hypomania, and then depression is mainly where I go to. If I'm at any current, and if I'm in a low state at all, I don't mess with anything. That's my only limitation.
No, I don't either. I agree with you there, Ray. I personally don't do any type of session if I'm having a down day or if I'm feeling off or anything, purely because I don't want that to influence the session, or if it's an angel card reading, I don't want how I'm feeling to interfere with the session or the reading that I'm going to do.
Yeah, that's why there's I haven't uploaded anything for quite some time on my channel, so it's just like when I'm depressed, I just can't do it. I stay away. I don't want to invite anything that can, mess with me even further. So I just put everything away, and when I'm feeling better, I'll get to it. There's always going to be a chance for communication tomorrow or the next day, So if I'm not feeling right, I just can't do it. And so that's why I haven't put anything up for a while, but that's
I think it's kind of hard for me though, because my house is literally so active. I tell people in it, but because I don't have issues with it, because they're not bad, because they're not causing trouble, because they're not giving me crap left, right, and centre, just kind of hear them. We deal with it. The door will go, we'll hear the stairs going, something will get chucked off the side. But not maliciously. They're not malicious. I mean, I heard, I've been tapped awake. I hear them coming up the stairs all the time, and I literally just tell them to bog off because I'm sleeping or I'm trying to get to sleep. And they go, there's no problem in my house at all. I mean, if I say, oh, God, we've got ghosts in our house, people might look at me like I'm stupid. But the ghosts are all right and they're welcome here as long as they don't cause trouble. So, although I won't do a session inviting anything else in when I'm depressed, I still kind of have to deal with what's going on in the house. So if they, decided that, things are coming off the side that day or something, I have to say, right, come on, enough. I'm not up to it today. Don't bother me. Leave me alone. I do, I don't have anything bad in my house. And so that's a good thing. And they do respect the boundaries. But I wouldn't do a session inviting anything else in when I was on a bad day, ever.
Mm-hmm. I just don't do anything paranormal at all if I'm feeling off colour. I refuse to. I won't even do a live stream. It's like, I know if I've been in somebody else's stream and it's like, oh, Zara, do a stream. It's like, no, I'm not going to do a stream. And it's like, well, why aren't you going to do a stream? Come on, do a stream. You haven't done one in a long time. It's
gosh.
No.
It's like, yeah, that's not happening today.
No. I stream. As you guys know, I have no regular time or day that I stream. I stream when I want to stream. basically, and when I'm feeling up to streaming, because Rachel will tell you as well, living with bipolar is not easy. And
Oh no.
especially if you're like Rachel, a rapid cycler, or like myself, an ultra rapid cycler, you know, you've got work, you've got literally, you can with rapid cycling, you've got 4 different types.
Yeah.
I would say, and I hate to say this, Rachel, but the least severe of them is the normal rapid cycling.
Oh no,
Then you have my type of rapid cycling, and then you got 2 more severe. The most severe is when it's literally seconds, minutes and seconds that it's changing. I've experienced that once. I never want to experience it again. It's horrible.
No.
So if I am going to stream, this is why for me, I have to make sure that I know that in my heart, my soul, my head is I am 100% there, and I know for a fact that there is nothing in my surroundings or happening at that time that is going to possibly cause a mood change.
Yes.
So it can be
Tricky.
really, really difficult at times. Really difficult.
Yeah, because there could just be something that happens just right out of the blue that day that would automatically just flip the switch.
Or even 5 minutes before you're due to stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to plan, you know. I have to agree. I mean, my live streams are all over the place too.
It's true, but there is if you don't mind. Go on,
we can't slow down. We
sorry.
can't stop because you have mental illness. Life is still there waiting for us, and
of course
you have to kind of it. You know, I think people think when they go to see a psychiatrist, they're going to give them, or a therapist of any sort, that they're going to give them all the answers, but they're not, because they don't know what's going to happen.
Nobody
5 minutes after you walk out of that therapy session, you know.
No. Well,
we all to a degree ourselves as well.
Well, everybody's mental illness is different and unique to them. And I was told this by my psychiatrist. It's like Rachel's bipolar 2 and my bipolar 2 is complete. Even though we have the same type, some of the things we experience are very, very similar. But then that's it. It's like some of the things Rachel might experience is going to be completely different to what I experience, even though we have the same type of bipolar.
Our triggers will be different, everything.
Yeah. Yep.
I think because I've got personality disorders, and you know, I am going to act certain ways. Medication is going to change the way I can act at a certain situation, because it literally is my personality. So, you know, I'm predisposed to be anxious, you know. I mean, all the things that they say are in my personality disorder. It's like I'm predisposed to be that way. Although it's my personality, I am literally predisposed to be that way because I have personality disorders. That in itself is hard, but the other things on top of it.
Do you have coping mechanisms with the things that you have? Or is there coping mechanisms that you've developed?
Well, literally, like I said, I've been housebound for 5 years now. I can have, if I'm feeling okay, I can go for a short drive or something like that. Any people near me, can't deal with it. So, you know, it's kind of like I stay in the car. Because as soon as I'm around other people, I'm on the floor, passed out, panic attacks, you know. So, yeah, I mean, like I said to you, literally, when I say 5 years in the house, it's literally been in my bedroom for 5 years. I mean, 5 years in my bedroom looking at the same 4 walls. That's kind of why I started my channel and why I started getting into the paranormal more, because although I'd lived with it for 16 years, in the last year, I was going stir crazy as well, you know.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So, I mean, you see 4 walls for 4 years. You kind of want to do something to alleviate it. So I kind of started doing the paranormal because it's something, it's not something, I know it sounds really stupid when people say, oh, I'm really interested in it. It wasn't that I was really interested with it per se. It was that I lived with it and then became interested in it. Do you know what I mean? When I started looking into people's channels on YouTube and, you know, things like that, and I started watching people on YouTube. And can I just say, I never went to Huff. All you people who went to Huff, I didn't go there. But anyway, yeah, I looked at people here first in England. But yeah, so I kind of, it weren't an interest per se, it was an outlet for me. It was something that I could do. I didn't have to go out, but it would keep me occupied, and I became interested in it. I think that's the difference. It wasn't because I live with it every day. It was just normal for me to you know, to me having spirits in my house is normal, you know. So when I decided to see about it or look into it, that's when I became interested and started doing things. But it wasn't something that's been a passion all my life or I've always thought about or anything like that. It's just been part of my life that I became interested in it because I needed something to do. And I know that sounds bad in a way, but I became interested in it through doing it.
Well, on top of that, it gave you a community too to, you know,
exactly.
be a part of as well.
I mean, I can't go out to talk to people, so yeah.
I know, and this is a great outlet to use. You know, it's perfect for somebody in your, you know, position.
Yeah. I mean, I said to Zara, I said to her, the last week I've been downstairs. Well, you've seen before I was downstairs when I had my video on. I've been downstairs every day since last Monday, so a week today. I've been downstairs in my house every day. I've had a few good panic attacks, good dizzy spells, you know, with the panicking and things like that. But every day I've got up first thing in the morning and I've come downstairs, and it's a week today that I've been doing that, and that's the first time I've done that in 5 years.
Oh, hey, congratulations.
Yeah, well done.
Well done.
Very well done.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm proud of myself for that because my other half's like over the moon because he'll sit downstairs and I've been upstairs for 5 years, you know, and it's like never the twain shall meet kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean, I'm seeing more of my other half now as well.
Anybody that can't see what a significant step you made, they're idiots.
It's massive for me, John. Really is.
That was a huge step that you made, and if they can't understand it or be willing to educate themselves, then you know what, screw them, because that's a huge step that you just made. That's a lot of progress that you just made, Max.
That's really good, Max. You should be proud of yourself.
Yeah,
I am. What do you mean?
Proud of yourself.
I still want to
say.
But I'm not doing
with anybody. It's baby steps.
Yeah.
Always baby steps.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with baby steps at all either.
No, there isn't.
No.
You got to celebrate the small things.
No, sometimes you have to do it that way. Sometimes you got to do baby steps. It's the easiest way to do it sometimes.
Yeah, even if it's just getting out of bed and getting in the shower.
Bingo.
Yeah,
literally,
you know,
I mean, my muscles I've put about 5 stone in weight on in the last 5 years. I've no muscle mass anymore because I've been literally sat on a bed for 5 years. So, you know, walking upstairs, hard work. So, you know, I mean, it's not just mental problems for me anymore. I've got physical problems as well because of it.
Yeah.
So, but I'm up now and I'm in the kitchen every day and I'm washing the pots and I'm you know.
You're moving.
Although I can't, my back's, you know, I mean, I've got a really bad back now because of it. So, but I'll go in and I'm doing it and I'm trying to do bits of extra physical every day, you know, keep doing bits and bits and bits because I need to build that up as well. You know, you can imagine 5 years in a bed. So, you know, I'm getting that as well. I'm trying to get healthier as well as physically, as well as mentally at the minute. So, but I'm doing it. And, you know, like I said, it coming downstairs is like major for me. So I'm more proud of that than anything else at the minute.
Keep it up, Max.
Yes, please. Doing an excellent job.
if you have a, I've got to try and think the bloody English now. I couldn't think of the German. If you have take a 3 steps back in it, don't be so hard. Don't be hard on yourself, because we all go through it.
Yeah.
You know, you can take 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, but you know, you just get, as long as you keep in your mind of those small achievements that you've done, because those small achievements will eventually work towards those big achievements that you want to get to.
Yeah, no,
Exactly.
I know, and I will. It's just like, for me, like a whole week down here. I mean, and like I said, it's not been easy. I've had panic attacks. I've been like going dizzy with the stress. You know, my blood pressure's been going through the roof. But I have done it, and I've been down like every day. And I made my daughter breakfast today, and I think that's the first time I've made her breakfast in God knows how long. Like I said, Rob does it. Is my carer. And I made her, like, you know, just a bacon sandwich this morning. So, you know, things like that. Because, I mean, I got really bad when she's 18 now. I got really bad when she was 13, coming up 14. And, you know, I literally took to my room, and I've not been able to participate in the schools. Rob did all that when she was at school, went to all the meetings, went to all the plays, you know, everything. Rob did that, and I missed out on, like, the last couple of years of my kid at school, you know. So I've missed so much. I couldn't go to the hospital when my first granddaughter was born. You know, all these things that you miss that people don't realise. You know, I mean, there's been major events. Like when my dad died last year, I went to the funeral, but I couldn't stay. I had to go home, you know, and things that I'm, you know, milestones in people's lives. You don't realize 5 years is a long time, and a lot of milestones that I've missed because of the way I am. And I think that causes, when you do stuff with depression of any kind, when you start thinking along those lines, then you feel worse and it piles more on. I think sometimes you've just got to let it go and just say to yourself, well, I can't change that because it's done. You know, I can't bring things back, and I can't change things. And you have to look forward, and, you know, because you suffer with mental illness, you try to talk yourself around that and try to make yourself feel guilty about it. But, you know, I think you do have to draw that line in the sand at some point.
You do.
Be willing to step over it, you know.
It's a very major step to reach acceptance that, you know, that you have a mental illness. This is how it is, you know, but you learn to work with your life regardless.
Yeah. But you have to, because
you don't have, you know, you just, like I say, you live your life a little bit differently, and that's all there is to it. It doesn't mean, you know.
I'm going to mess up, and there's going to be days I don't want to come down.
That's anybody.
But, you know, I'm going to give myself a bye. Just to care, because when you start putting emphasis on things as well, and you start putting too much emphasis on it, then it becomes a focus, and I don't want to focus on the bad things. I want to just go, yeah, all right, that's fine, I can do that. I'm gonna have a panic attack, and I'm gonna want to stay in my room, and I might actually one day stay up there, but it's not going to be. I'm trying to look at it in a different way. Than putting emphasis too much on it. You know, I'm just gonna go, well, yeah, I've done that today, but tomorrow I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get up and, you know. It's
sounds
great.
like you're using a lot of positivity, and you're setting healthy boundaries, and that's the most important thing. It's okay to set a boundary. It's best to set a healthy one, healthy for you, not for the other people. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And
that's
if
true.
they can't understand, then you know what I mean. Then that's their problem. You know.
And if you have a bad day, that's okay too.
Oh yeah, it's definitely
hard.
okay.
I mean,
we all do.
I think we touched on it earlier. I mean, it's hard for people in your life. I mean, it is hard for the people around me, and I totally accept that it's hard for them. But I also can't change what I am as well. You know, I'm always going. They've told me because of my personality disorders, I'm always going to have problems. There's no cure for me. I'm never going to be cured, but I have to get to a point where I've got a better lifestyle. Do you know what I mean? And that might not be being out with people or things. It might just be coming downstairs, starting cleaning the house, starting cooking again. You know, these might be things that I can achieve. And, you know, going out for more drives in the car, things like that. It might never be that I can be around a lot of people, but I'm good with that. If I'm not, then I'm not. But I'll do what I can in the house, and then the rest of it, if I can, I can. If I can't, I can't. I'm not going to put pressure on myself. But I'm not going to bed for it.
I think when you put pressure on yourself, it actually has the opposite effect. I know with me, you know, I'm gonna be really sort of blunt, open. You know, this is the reality of my life living with the bipolar. It could be a week, 2 weeks before I get my washing up done. It can take me a week to. It can take me. It's all right. It's stupid. Jet Cheeky's just done a binky, and it just like he hasn't done one of them in a while. It can take me weeks to do a complete spring clean. It could be days before before having a shower, or even doing the most mundane of things. But that is my reality, living with a mental illness. You know, exactly. So I don't feel so bad with myself. And it's a bit like punishing yourself. I try to do one small thing every day. If I achieve it, then I may do something else. And if I know
I think mental illness, we do punish ourselves. We do it.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's important too to
for
set
sure.
To, you know, the goals that you're setting for yourself. Make sure they're realistic. Like, it's not something that's so far out of you that you're gonna end up back in that funk when you failed at it. You always want to make sure that those goals that you're setting for yourself are something that you know you're gonna be able to do, you just take that one little bit at a time, and then eventually you get to a point where you can look back and look at all your accomplishments and just really feel good about that.
Also, I like to make lists, for instance, like a to-do. I'm very big on I love to make lists. I'm addicted to making like to-do lists, and I'll mark them by importance and, you know, what needs to get done immediately and what's not so important. So yeah, actually looking at that list and seeing what you've checked off that day makes me feel awesome.
But when it boils down to it in life, there isn't that much that's really that important, is there, apart from your family and your health and things like that.
Yep.
There's not that much that's important, but when you suffer with any form of mental illness, everything is a problem. And we have to, you know, and we can tell ourselves, well, you know, my kids are all right, or my family's all right, I've got a roof over my head, I've got food in my stomach, all the things that are important, we can tell ourselves that, but then we add on 5,000 other things that we think are going to be a force in our life in some way, shape, or form, or affect it. When in reality, they're not. But we can't seem to stop ourselves from adding those extra 5,000 things that we think are going to be a problem. We do look for problems. And, you know, if you look for something, you find it eventually, don't you? You know.
Oh, yes.
You know, but that is... people with mental illness, we do that. We all do it. You know, there's different types of mental illness, but I can guarantee you, we all look for problems. You know, it's hard, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get rid of all that at the minute. I'm trying to think, I've got a roof over my head, my kids are healthy, I've got food in my stomach, I've got another half who loves me, I'm going to go down the bloody stairs. You know, that's kind of what I'm looking to. I'm trying not to think about all the rest and just focus on that at the minute. It's just one thing I'm focusing on, going down the stairs, just that one thing. That's all I'm focusing on, you know, and I'm trying not to think about everything else that goes with it.
Well, it's like I said before, you know, baby steps, one step at a time. You know, once you've achieved one goal, then, and you know, and you can keep repeating it, and you're not getting that anxiety that you were getting beforehand, then you can progress on to the next step for yourself.
You know, I don't care if it takes me 6 months of
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter to me. I'm not bothered. I mean, the last psychiatrist they had, she was really good. She said, because I didn't get dressed for years, she said, start putting a shoe on. She said, I don't care. She said, just one shoe on every day. She said, I don't care if you do that for 6-8 months. Put one shoe on every day. She went, just do that. Put one shoe on. She said, and then, she said, if it takes you another 6 or 8 months, put the other one on. You know, she said, there isn't a time limit on it. She said, just do it. She said, just start doing that every day. I mean, it got to the point, I was going to the toilet and having a panic attack. I was having a panic attack because I had to get up off the bed and go to the toilet. That's how bad it got at one point, that I panicked going to the toilet. I had a panic attack. I was crawling on the floor to the toilet. And, you know, so I've been kind of building myself up for the last 2 or 3 months in the room, just walking from the bedroom to the bathroom and walking to the bedroom. And I've been doing that. And then when Chloe got the kittens, I was walking downstairs to her landing because, you know, I've got like a town after thing. So I was walking onto her landing, downstairs onto her landing, and feeding the cat, and then coming back up again, you know. And I've been doing bits like that since we got the kittens. And I think that's kind of getting the kittens has given me that boost to come all the way down the stairs as well, you know.
And I suppose where you've been able to achieve that after, you know, being confined to one room for so long, that I suppose in a way that must give you such a buzz now,
it
because
does,
you know that you can do it.
Yeah, I can do it, but the panic and the fear is still there. But I've got to master it as well.
I think that's always going to be there. It just really depends on how much you let that affect you.
Yeah. Well, you see, reading is my outlet. I read a lot. And, you know, I've never not got my tablet in my hand with a book on it. And Rob was laughing at me because, like, when I first came downstairs the first day, and I didn't realise how many things I had attachments to that I had in my room, and they all had to come downstairs with me. And they still do. I bring a bag downstairs with me every day with all the things that I think I might need in it that have become second nature to me using in my bedroom. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, I'm a bit like a bag lady, putting things down the stairs with me. But I need them at the minute.
I've been that way before.
But I do, you know, I mean, eventually I won't. But at this moment in time, I need them. So they come downstairs with me. So, you know, I mean, I've got like my painkillers, you know, my tablet, the things I've got batteries in it. I've got stupid things in it that I'm never going to need, but I might. So they had to come with me, you know.
I'm one of those people too, in general.
I do the exact same thing. If I got to switch from one room to another, I bring like everything I need from one room to the other room. I bring my little kit of everything I just might need. You never know.
Yeah,
I'm bringing
I work bag goes everywhere.
That's the only thing.
Gotta go kit. So.
Kit. You know, I need them at the minute for my comfort, my peace of mind. And if having to carry a bag downstairs helps my peace of mind, then I'm carrying the bag down the stairs. It's that simple.
That's good. Hey, if it helps you get down the stairs at the end of the day, who cares?
Yep.
True.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. I mean, you know.
But the kittens are loving it because they've got like the whole bottom floor to run around and settees to jump the backs of, and you know they're having time of their life at the minute. You think it's a playground, coffee tables, off.
I'm baby kitties.
Yeah, but it's good for them as well. You know, they need it as well, so it's good for them as well. So I suppose, really, like, you know,
it gives you a sense of like purpose. You know, doing that in a way. Also, I would think.
That's kind of what's going on with me. Because I got this dog named Polly, and she's a little Shih Tzu. I brought her up earlier. She said hi to everybody, but I put her back down because she just finished eating. And I've been converting her over from hard food to soft food. Like, she has her hard food during the day, but like now she's getting used to the soft food. And so she gives me an excuse to take her out for, you know, WALK. She's laying down by my feet. She's my little shadow. She stays everywhere with me. She doesn't leave my side. Her and I have bonded completely. And so it's like now I have a reason to go out during the daytime because I take her for 3 a day, 2, 3 a day, you know?
It's like
it's just up the street and back or whatever. But you know what? She still loves it, and you know, it's just like it gives me a reason to go out. It gives me a reason to put on my shoes and actually go outside. Yeah. So like, you know, and like feeding her is something I love doing because she's getting used, you know, she's getting the soft food now, so she just freaks out and thinks it's a treat all the time. And so it's just fun, and then she comes up and she'll literally flop down on me, and I'll start patting her, and then she rolls over and she's like belly rub, and she's gaining weight now. She's putting on more weight and everything. And like if I hadn't taken her, she'd be at a campground right now, like really too hot and everything. So I just can't do that. I love animals so much, and like I just said, I'll take her. You know, even though I can't have them on my leash, I don't give a shit.
I wouldn't either. Screw it.
But I don't care. I'm gonna look after this dog. You know.
Sounds like you're looking after.
Yeah, you know, Mary. I got a reason too, and it's an animal, and I love the.
Well, animals are great for that.
With a lot of people that have mental illnesses, they have a little thunder buddy. They got like a little animal. You know, like. You know, I know Wes, you got Teddy. Teddy's awesome. Teddy's the man. I love Teddy. You know, and I got Paul. And, you know, Rachel's got hers. And I know for sure that you've got the bunnies and the cats and everything over there, Zara.
Well,
so,
yeah, there's my sister's cat. And there's she probably here running around in the background every now and then. My mum's dog that I've got till the end of August, he's fast asleep.
Yep.
Gorgeous dog.
But that's something I've kind of noticed with a lot of us is we all kind of have our animals in that, and you know, it's just something, you know, that I
don't know. Rob calls them back
in a way, and it is healthy. So.
Rob's convinced I'm a witch now because cats follow me around.
And that's why you get all these little kitties.
So he thinks they're Mr.
My old roommate's cat fed me or followed me around too. He'd scratch the door and come in and hop up on my bed. He barely ever talked to my old roommate. He'd rather come hang out with me. So, you know, it's just the way I am, I guess. But yeah, no, I hear you. And
I've never been a pet person, though. Before we got these kittens, about 18 months ago, Rob said, "Oh, you like?" Because I've always liked cats. Cats have always been my pet of choice if I was going to have one. And about 18 months ago, Rob said, on Facebook, he said somebody's getting rid of a cat. He said they're moving away, you know, and it was somebody in our town. And he said, "Want it?" I said, and I talked him out of it. And then, like, we got the kittens, and like they're attached to me permanently. And he went, "Do you know what? 18 months ago, we could have seen this improvement." He said, "But you talked me out of it." He went, "I'm not listening to you again." He said, "That's it." He said, "When you say no, from now on." He said, "I'm doing it anyway." And I went, "Right, okay."
So I wanted to ask you, because you've been so quiet there.
I'm just listening to everybody's stuff. It's like...
with your ADHD and that, how does that affect you on a daily basis?
Concentration and stuff. I can go from doing one thing 1 minute to something else like the entire minute, and you know, I'll be doing like I'll be trying to get something done, and then I'll think of something and I'll go and do that, and you know, I'm all over the place. just like how I'm talking right now, all over the place.
I understand that.
Wes, have you found it hard to hold a job?
Sorry?
Wes, have you found it hard to work? Have you found it hard with work holding a job? Because my son can't hold a job. Is there?
Actually, no, not lately. I'm lucky that when I go to work, I usually have a set job that I'm supposed to do. It's doing the same thing over and over again, so it's like that's pretty easy to just stay focused on that for that.
Right. Yeah. Well, he struggles, and I know it sounds really strange giving somebody ADHD, but the only thing he ever really but the only thing he really enjoyed, he was a carer, and he really, really loved being a carer. And he got in trouble with police for his car, and because he had a criminal record, he couldn't be a carer again, and he was a carer for 18 months, and he absolutely loved it. And then when he got in trouble over the car, he couldn't be a carer anymore because he had a criminal record. And he went so down after that. He struggled with everything he's ever tried to do, he struggled with.
Oh, that's awful.
But he loved caring. And then, like, when my dad was dying, he looked after my dad. I mean, he was there every day doing it. And it's something he must have a natural affinity for. Right. You know, I mean, go on.
For years, I had a hard time holding a job. I don't know if it was because I didn't know about the mental illness or whatever, but I would go to a job and I'd be doing my best, and maybe it was because of the concentration thing, but I actually had an employer who said, yeah, sometimes you're here and you're really, really good, then other times you're here and it's like you're over here in left field. You just can't. Well, that's exactly what he said to me, though. So yeah, I've had jobs that I've lost, and that's probably why. But recently, I've just kind of lucked out with this one and going good.
Yeah, but that's it, and it must seem to people sometimes. I mean, like I said, I've dealt with Martin all his life with ADHD, but it must seem to people on the outside that they're talking to 5 different people in a day sometimes with him, because he can be cool, calm, and collected 1 second, and then the second afterwards he's climbing the wall. And the second after that, he's up cleaning or busy and doing something. But he doesn't sit still. And you'll notice with somebody with ADHD, even if it's the eyes moving, they don't sit still. Something.
Yeah,
something
that's
has to be moving.
My husband
never
has
ever. And I sit there and I used to watch our Martin because it fascinated me. I sound like David Attenborough, but he used to fascinate me, and I could see his eyes, and he'd be going, and I knew that it was going to do something, you know. And it could be like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and he'd be up, and he'd be off, and he'd go. He cannot sit still. He cannot talk slow. He cannot put. It can't. It's not that he doesn't put effort into it. He puts too much effort into something when he does it, and he can't say no. People, he can't say no. He gets himself in so much trouble because he goes to everybody. Yeah, I can do it. I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do it. You know, and I'll say, try practicing saying no. I'm not going to do it. No, I won't pick you up. No, I can't come and get you. You know, because he said it's like he's predisposed to want to please people as well. You know, with it, and it's really strange the things that he does, and it is his ADHD that causes him to do it. It's really wacky. But people who haven't lived with somebody with ADHD or have been brought up with somebody with ADHD, they don't understand all the things that go along with ADHD. The emotions that are involved with somebody with ADHD are so dramatic. And I say dramatic, it's like when you cry or you're upset, it's like the end of the world upset. There's no lightly being upset. You can't just think something's, oh, that's bad. It's like, oh my God, you know, there's no middle ground with it. You're either really upset or really happy, or, you know, really energetic, or, you know, there's no gradual things with it. It's like all or nothing kind of thing. Are you like that? Is that how you are? It's kind of like everything has to be, whoa, kind of thing.
I don't think for me, I'm like that. Really, I have my moments where I'm like really, really down. Then I have moments where I'm, you know, sort of down. But I don't think I'm ever at the point where it's just one way.
Yeah, but is it always to the extreme though? Because Martin has no middle ground. He has no.
I don't think for me it is to the extreme all the time. No, I'd say.
Oh, Martin is to the extreme. It's like when he's happy, he's like hysterical. When he's sad, he's like the end of the world's come. You know, when he's angry, it's like punching walls or, you know, crashing cars.
For anger, that's why I'm with anger. If I'm angry, then I'm really, really angry.
Yeah. And there's no calming you down. Literally, I could never calm Martin down. It's something he has to do. Yeah, it is hard.
And I don't very much so with me when it comes to anger. Yeah, I get really angry. usually not like lightly angry. It's usually I'm just really, really angry if I'm angry.
Yes, there isn't a minimum anger quarter going. It's like, well,
Exactly.
But I don't think people realise that about ADHD. They think you're hyperactive. They think you're just going to be up doing things. They don't understand that that's like just part of ADHD.
Yeah.
So much more involved in ADHD than people realise. And I think you only learn it if you live with somebody with it. You know, all the intricacies that are actually involved in it. You know, they just think hyper and that's it. And it's not that at all.
Yeah.
That's
Wow,
true.
everyone went quiet.
Wes, would you mind me touching on a subject that I don't know if everybody's going to be comfortable with talking about it, but I think it plays a big part in mental illness.
Hit me.
Yeah, go for it.
Is suicide.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Let's go there.
Yeah, we can go there. I say I don't know about you guys, but I've personally tried twice in my 20s. I'm glad I didn't succeed because I wouldn't be here today. I know I don't know with regards to other mental illnesses, but I know with bipolar, especially wintertime, the suicide increases to 20 to 30% higher than somebody that would say that is suffering with depression.
Oh yeah.
I know with my group over the last 8 years, I've actually lost quite a few close members and even 2 admin due to suicide, which has been really hard. But I was just wondering, have any of you, I can imagine, Rachel, that you have, because obviously, you know, having the same thing, it goes part and parcel, unfortunately. Have any of you actually experienced or have actually tried to commit suicide or dealt with suicide ideation or anything like that at all?
Oh yeah, I've got two attempts on my side. That's how I got 5150 and put in the hospital when I lived in California for a year. I had to do a 3-day stint in the hospital. That was interesting. But I mean, I was glad to be a failure at that point.
So that was interesting. Yeah.
Well, it's the last place I ever expected to be, especially with my profession. That is not where I wanted to end up ever. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what zone I'm living in.
No, I've tried committed suicide 3 times. I think the worst time was I blacked out. I can't remember even doing it. I can remember sitting downstairs watching telly with the kids and my partner, and then the next thing I remember, the doors getting kicked open to the bathroom, and I took a lot of tablets and drunk a bottle of vodka, and you know, obviously hospital and everything else. But that frightened me more. That one time frightened me more because I didn't have any thoughts of it. It wasn't something that I was thinking about that day. It wasn't something that I was planning. It wasn't something that, you understand what I mean? I had no thought of it. And then I was getting my stomach pumped and, you know, but I had absolutely no suicidal thoughts that day at all. And I blacked out. I can't remember going upstairs. I can't remember doing it. And the only reason I'm still here is because I said I was going to the loo, and then like 20 minutes later he hadn't come down, and you know, everything after it. But that was scary for me, and I think that was the last time I tried, because I don't remember it, and I think that, and like I think every counselling session I've had since then, and Chloe was only maybe 8 or something at the time, and 9, every session I've had, I always bring that up because that's like the moment that scared me more than anything else that's ever happened. Because I didn't think I was suicidal. I didn't feel it. I didn't have any thoughts of it, nothing. And then they're aware. So I always make sure whenever I have a session or, you know, I always bring it up because I never want to, I know it sounds stupid, but I never want to forget because I never want to go back there. I always want to know what's what now. So I always bring it up so that I can always, if there's a new way of coping or a new technique or something that I can do that would never put me in that position again, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Very much so, yes.
What about you, John?
I never want to do that. I've never wanted to suffer a lot with suicidal thoughts. More thoughts of death is my thing. I picture, and I still do, I picture ways to die. Every day I do that. I could be walking down the stairs and I'll picture myself at the bottom with a broken neck, or, you know, I'll go into the kitchen and I'll picture myself embedding myself on a knife or things like that. And it sounds really bad when I say it like that, but it's something I've learned to live with that because it's part of my anxieties and my depression, but mostly it's my personality disorders that cause that. So that's something through therapy I've learned to deal with and learned to cope with, and not take it. I know I have to take it serious in my therapy kind of way, but not serious in my life. It's just something that I have to deal with and have to live with, and because it's always going to be there. So that's just something that I can't change at the, you know, for now anyway, unless I come up with something else. But so I live with that. So like I said, it's not so much suicide with me per se. It's just thoughts of death or dying for me personally.
What about you, John?
Well, first time I tried to kill myself, I was 10 years old.
Wow.
I tried to hang myself with a tie off the, and I had like a thing that went on top of your door, and when you closed it, you could hang things off of it. And it was made of flimsy metal, and like a foolish 9-10-year-old that I was in the fourth grade, I tried to string myself up, and you know, my buddy Wade broke it, and then my dad found it, and he gave me a whooping for, you know, whatever I was playing, quote unquote. Let's see, after that, wait many years, you know, I think that I unconsciously tried to many times because I abused alcohol and drugs, and I would always push the limit. I mean, I remember one time I snorted so much speed that I actually laid on the floor and just put an ice pack on my head, and I was like, I'll be fine. And eventually the heart palpitations stopped and everything. It took a little while, but all I did was bring my body temperature back up. I was really hot, I had to bring it down. And so and then I remember one time many times taking pills out of bags and I didn't know what the hell they were, and I would just eat them.
Jeez.
One time I laid on a couch in a meth house, and nobody was there. And so like I had the whole like OD shower experience where like you're all messed up and you're like laying underneath a shower just trying to keep yourself hot and stuff. Like this drug was like really messing with me. My eyeballs went completely black. By the time then my buddy got there and he turned the heat up, so I was like, oh, okay, I'm not dying of cold. And then like he kept waking me up every time I'd pass out, and I kept seeing this white light. And I told him to shut the hell up and just let me go to the white light. And I remember just waking up after going to the white light. I just woke up in the bed. And like I remember when I got there, I sent my friend for more drugs. And it turned out that the drug dealer he was getting the drugs from was actually moving into my own house. Because like we needed a new roommate or something. I had no idea this was going on, right? But this dude was moving into like the house I was living in. And so, like, yeah, by the time this dude got back, it was like hours. And that's when I woke up, was when he came back with more drugs. I mean, obviously, I've been clean and sober from amphetamines now for 13, 14 years. I haven't had a drink in 10. So, yeah.
Wow.
Anyways, yeah, I've got a lot of crazy experiences I could talk about, like doing mushrooms. The guy that shot a dude in the head, and he's still in jail. He's still serving time. And this guy was a stone cold murderer, and he was holding the plant, and it was like his fuzzy wuzzy. It was like a rhubarb plant, and it was raining. And yeah, he thought he was in Vietnam later, and that was kind of funny because he thought he had a machine gun. But anyways, yeah. Um, definitely like tried with pills many times. Actually, like how you were talking about like making the care, the call of concern or whatever. I one time, I should have died, but I actually, oh crap.
What happened to you?
I think we lost John for a second there.
Oh, he's right there. Or he's
Still there, John?
John, check mic.
I think he's frozen.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, he just dropped.
Well,
He'll
what about you, Wes, until John gets back?
There yeah.
He kicked me off. My battery's dying. Right? Anyway, yeah, so I should have died, but I made the mistake. Well, not the mistake, but at the time I considered it a mistake to phone my mother and say goodbye. And then so she found a crisis unit, and they, she kept me on the phone and enough to get my whereabouts. In the town I was living in, the police are like anywhere in 6 minutes. So like, they came and got me, and they didn't, cuff me or anything. They just put me in the car and drove me to the hospital. And that's where I stayed, and I got all the charcoal and everything. I tried many times with pills, but they just never worked. And so I've always felt there's been something watching out for me, because like I should be dead just with back when I was using drugs and the people that I used to hang out with and all that kind of crap. Like I should have died a few times. I mean, I have a big wound right here, like all the way across. It's like a huge scar, and it goes down, like, and I'm not going to show it to try and be a tough guy or anything, but I do have a wound, and I should have died from that wound. So, I was in the crap a lot, and it's not like I went to war on this street and all that kind of stuff, and I'm not proud of it at all. I'm definitely not proud of it. And so, yeah, I've always felt there's something there watching me, because anybody else that has actively tried to commit suicide that many times, it's just that I guess, too, I was afraid. Like, I didn't want to cut myself. I didn't want to, like, do that stuff and bleed out and lay there. You know what I mean? I just wanted it over as quick as possible. That's the way I wanted to go. And it never ended up working out. So, and I never had a firearm close by, or I wouldn't be here today. Anyway, so yeah. Yeah, so I've just always think there's been something kind of watching me, and there's always something like, like that white light, I believe, was like something like, here, man, get to this light and you're going to be all right. Not like get to the light and you're going to be dead. That's what I thought. Like, just let me go to death. That's what I thought that day. But really, when I went to the light, I woke up, and I don't have any that's the weirdest story that I have about anything death related or whatever. Everything else, I just kind of woke up in a hospital or whatever. The whole 4th grade thing, I just hit the floor. There was no actual strangulation or anything, So, yeah, I tried a lot. I had a miserable childhood, even though I had, just about everything I wanted, and I had everything I needed. My parents made sure of that, my mom and my stepdad, but, I hated my stepfather for a lot of years, and, I mean, that's something that therapy needs to take care of, not the podcast, But yeah, you know, even now I'll say love you, Dad, and he's like, yep, and he just gets in the car and drives away. You know what I mean? So yeah. You know, I
That's
guess I
probably
never became what
always
he
well.
wanted me to be. And that's not why I tried to kill myself. I tried to kill myself because I have post-traumatic stress disorder and I can't live with the screams anymore. That's why I take so much, you know, so much of the Circle, which is a downer. I take so much of the amitriptyline, which is also a migraine blocker. It's the only antidepressant I take. And it's also used for migraine blocking, antidepressants and stuff. You know, I take here and you take a big meal at bedtime. Here's Monday, and this is what I take at night. There's a ton of Valium in there and everything. Yeah, you know, it's a lot of pills. It's a lot of pills. So yeah, and that's just one bubble pack. The other one is all for like physical pain. It's just mostly gabapentin and my ulcer medication and my seizure meds. So I'll never be able to drive a car because I'm not 2 years seizure free. I have grand malls, so I just wake up with my busted old shoulder that has bursitis and it's out. And I just wake up and there's a bunch of smashed stuff around me, and my head hurts and my jaw hurts and everything else. But yeah, and then I've got the whole squalene damage, and that's not fun, and that's a really long story. That, you know, if you look at other podcasts or any other of my vlogs, you'll see, you know, about that. I, you know, discuss that later, whatever. I've been waking up with like more bruises and like weird things on my body, especially on my knees and my legs recently, and on my arm. And it's like I don't put those bruises on myself or those marks, you know. So whatever, the squalene damage is progressing. And Canada has an assisted suicide bill now, physician assisted suicide.
Yeah,
And,
no way.
Canada does, yes.
I didn't know that either.
When that happened?
Yeah, it got ratified back, I do believe, in April.
Oh, really?
Anyways, so if this continues to get worse, then I even explained this to my physician on my last visit when I told him that I could no longer afford cannabis. And my LP only has one strain anyway. Everybody's waiting for more strains and they also got hit by Canada, the what do you call it, Canada? Because what they do is they get the strain and it's like 6 months old and then they bottle it. So by the time you get it, you get really old product, really old medicine compared to really fresh medicine. You know what I mean? When I used to first get it, I would get fresh medicine. Now it's like all old. I had to get a scale and I had to send them a video because I ordered a supply and I was 1 day short in weight. And so they told me to make a video and I did, and they had to make it right and everything. So they got smacked by Health Canada because of their labels, and they got to make new labels, and they're waiting for more strains. So I went to see my physician and I asked for short-term pain medication, narcotic pain medication, which he refused to give to me. And he doubled my gabapentin, which I don't really like to take them, but it's, you know, it feels like legal speed to me, but it does help. And what do you call it? That's all he could do because of the opiate crisis or whatever, even though he knows I've weaned off of 3 separate opiates before I went on medical cannabis. Because so it's not like I'm stupid and I don't know what I'm doing, but he refused. And so by the end of the conversation, I casually explained, I just explained it to him, like, if you continue to look at me like an idiot because I've done all the research for you, you refuse to read it, then, you know, like, I'm looking at this. And when he left the room with his head hanging and he couldn't look at me in the face because I said, like, right now, I'm okay. But once it gets really bad, then I'm looking at physician-assisted suicide, and you're going to be writing the prescription, you know. And he left with his head hanging, and he had a really frustrated look on his face. So, you know, in 10 or 15 years, there might be a modern, you know, there could be a miracle. And if they could make a pill today that would take away everything that was wrong with me and that I could work tomorrow, I'd be pounding the damn pavement, but they can't. Instead, they want to give me Lyrica or Cymbalta, which takes up to 2 to 3 weeks to work, just like an antidepressant. So what they're doing with those drugs is they're looking for people who are saying they're in pain, but they're not. But maybe they're feeling pain, so it's psychosomatic pain. So
Which is a
if
real
your
thing.
pain goes away after you take the antidepressant pain medicine, then maybe you're all right. But that doesn't work for me. I get heart attack symptoms from those drugs, and I have to go to the hospital. And then what do they inject me with first to get my heart rate down? Let's take a guess. Morphine. Why? Because it's a depressant for your respiratory system. Every time I go in there, when they try to give me these new bloody pills out there,
Morphine bothers me.
I'm having a heart attack. And so it's like they're trying to kill me with these new bloody pills. So, it's like, should I just die anyways? I don't want to die right now. I really don't. I don't want to die. I have a girlfriend. We're going to be together 4 years at the end of August. I have a lot of crap to live for. I got a podcast with Wes. He's like he's a brother to me. I don't want to die. Not at all. But if there's no cure, by the time I'm 45, 50, 55, 60, and everything just gets worse, and the muscle degradation is worse, and everything else, and everything's worse, then maybe that's what I'll have to do. I don't want to be in pain, and I'm in constant pain. And I'm doing my best to keep myself, proactive and trying to keep myself in a good mood, but eventually, you can only have enough. Enough is enough, right? And so I told him, I says, if it's no better by the time I'm 50, 55, you're going to have to write the prescription, doc, because that's the way I'm going to go out.
Well, you may be a little bit apprehensive about the opiate part, and not thinking that you're dumb or anything, but it's also a liability issue on their part as well, I believe.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I explained it to him. I said I only wanted to use it for short-term use, like about 3-4 weeks at best, and then either I would just stop the medication and go get some, Imodium, in case you had a little bit of those effects, right? Or he would wean me off the medicine, just like I was weaned off of codeine con, I was weaned off of Dilaudid, and I was weaned off of Tylenol 3s.
Both Dilaudid.
So, and I was on all the MS Cotton as well. I was on all that stuff before, because when you wanted to join the medical marijuana program in Manitoba, you had to be off all narcotics in order to be able to even be considered to be on the MMR. So I weaned off. Yeah, every week he would reduce my dosage. I met with him every week. He reduced the dosage. I weaned off of all those drugs. So there's no reason, in my opinion, why he could not have given me another prescription, just until I had the money to order more cannabis, and they actually had cannabis there that was going to be good to order, because I don't want to have to go to the black market. And for some reason, he didn't want to understand that, And I was like, dude, like, I've done it before. We've already done this together, like, I'm your patient. You know what's going on. I'm in a lot of pain. This is no longer accessible. Like, here's what's going on, and the guy just completely shook his head.
Well, a lot of people here have that issue, especially because we don't have marijuana as an option here. It's still illegal at this point in time.
Yeah.
Well, at least in my state it is.
Well, here it's going to be legal everywhere in 2 months. So
yeah,
put it into legislation, and so everybody's going to have it. And in my town alone, there's 100 applications for, I guess, what do you call it? Those the street dispensaries or whatever. There's already 100 applications put in. So
there'd be a ton here from Texas if they'd make it legal here. I mean, I'm sure that would help plenty of people here. You'd have no problem with the opiate problem.
Well, and the tax thing is what is the best part about it. I mean, when you look at Colorado, when Colorado First, they made their marijuana legal there. They taxed it at 30%. People still bought it, and every year the marijuana taxes beat the liquor tax. So it's proving that more people want to smoke marijuana than they do drink liquor.
Yeah, well, no, nobody wants to. I mean, it's a little bit easier to function high, but I mean, going along with the issue of mental health, I mean, I've heard a lot about like CBD oil. I believe is that's legal in Texas at least. It's not the clearly it's missing the THC, which is what's going to get you high. CBD oil is nothing. That's not going to get you high. No. But at the same time, with working with depression, at least, I know it's great for pain. Dear Lord, marijuana and all that jazz, great. For depression, I think it's going to depend on the individual itself, because I know some people don't do well with it in their depression at all.
That's true.
Listen, can I just jump in? I'm going to have to get going, people, because other half's got to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning, so I'm going to have to get going because it's 12:30 here.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Max.
No worries. No worries.
So
when Wes gets back, tell him thanks for inviting me.
Thanks so much for being on our panel.
Yeah, thanks, John. I appreciate it. Tell Wes thanks when he gets back on, will you?
I will.
Going.
Good having you,
Max. At the minute. All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks, everybody in chat for coming as well.
Bye.
Night, everybody. Bye.
Night, Max.
Bye. I'll have to go soon. I'll have to go soon-ish anyway, because it's like 25 past 1 my time.
Oh my goodness.
My battery's at like 11%.
But Wes, I know that you haven't answered the question that I asked at all. Is suicide anything something that you've thought about or attempted before?
Not in a long time. When I was in high school, I thought about it. This is going to take a razor blade to my wrist. And I guess 15 years ago, I was in a pretty bad state, and I was on a bridge. It wasn't a high bridge; it was high enough. Took my shoelaces and made a noose out of them and tied it to the bridge. And luckily, the shoelaces broke, and I just ended up kind of landing on the ground. But
wow,
yeah. But yeah, that's the only time I've actually attempted. But I did have thoughts. I have had thoughts, but not like in a really, really long time.
Well, I'm glad the shoelaces broke at least. It seems.
Yeah, me too. Now looking back.
I mean, it's the best failure you could have. When I look back on it, at least I'm always I'm glad I failed at this.
It's a great failure.
Oh, so I know even with the couple of attempts I've tried, if it's actually been successful, I wouldn't know any of you lot. I wouldn't know my nephews. I wouldn't know my niece. Exactly. I wouldn't have been able to experience the stuff that I have done in the last 20 odd years.
Oh, yeah, even Dr. Barchett explained to me, he goes, Chris, he sat me down, and he goes, John, and my middle name's Christopher, so he's, Chris, he goes, because I said refer to me by that. She goes, okay, Chris, he goes, I'm just going to tell you something, and I'm going to tell you something right now. When it comes to killing yourself, you fucking suck at it, bro. And he would use the F word. Oh, absolutely, he would. And he's like, you fucking suck. So what's the point of trying to do this and hurting yourself anymore? All you're doing, he goes to me, and I'm going to quote 13 Reasons Why from Netflix, and I can't say the part of the scene or anything, because if you have Netflix, watch 13 Reasons Why and watch it all the way through. No spoilers here, but one character says to another, he goes, why are you going to do this? You're going to do something, and everybody's going to cry for a week, and then everybody's going to forget about it. And that's what he said to me. He goes, but there's certain people that don't forget about it, and it stays with them, and they become the ones that have to carry, as the commandant says, I carry the illness forward for all of you. Well, that's where it comes from, is because I thought about that. And I'm terrible at that. And if I were to do it, I would leave my girlfriend, my family, all my friends, my brother Wes. I got 2 sisters, 2 half sisters. I have, people that care about me and people that love me. I got TSC. I got all these people that I would leave behind, and they would have to deal with that. And a lot of people would move on, and it might take them a little while. But it's something you're doing to them, and that's the selfish part of suicide. Is
Also, it's viewed as selfish, yeah. But I mean, when you're in that moment, though, it's that desperation to get out of that feeling, because it's absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
But I mean, it goes back to the really cheesy old saying of, it's a permanent solution to temporary problems.
To a temporary problem, and it's very true. No matter how cheesy it is, it's true.
Yeah. It's very true.
It's very true. So I got to agree. It's very true. And thank God nobody succeeded, or we wouldn't even had this panel, or I wouldn't have had the pleasure.
We wouldn't have had this conversation.
A star-studded lineup here with all of us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I wouldn't have even had
I'm dying, Yeah. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
John, a little while ago.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Girlfriend's home from work.
Yeah, you sent me a video a little while back, and
yeah, sure. My phone's at like 9%, guys.
Oh, go.
Okay.
You're still on? Okay, John. You guys hear me?
I can hear you.
We hear you, Wes.
Okay, so John actually sent me a video the other day. I'm gonna post that video since we don't really have time to play it right now. But what was the name of the guy again? Jordan Petersen.
Yeah. Jordan Petersen. Yeah, he's an amazing psychologist. He's out of Toronto, Ontario, I do believe.
Apparently, he was on Joe Rogan today.
Yeah. He was watching. I was watching it before I actually came on the podcast here.
Yeah, but anyways, John sent me this video, and it talks about suicide and all the things that we pretty much just talked about, which was how people are going to be sad, how it traumatizes people, and also it also talks about putting it off and then putting it off again and then just continuously putting it off. And I'm going to leave that in the chat right now. I'm also going to leave it in the description of the video because I think it's something that people should watch.
Oh, brilliant.
I think so too. Yeah, that's why I left it in there.
I'll definitely have to take a look at that.
Sign off, though. I just want to thank everybody for, whoever's in the chat and that I can't see. I just want to thank Zara. I want to thank Rachel. I also want to say thanks to Mags. And I definitely want to say Wes, because he's always the brains behind the brawn here.
Oh, jeez. Too much credit there, man. Too much credit.
For him, we wouldn't even have a podcast going on. So I just want to thank all you guys for coming on. This is a really important show for all of us. And
yes,
I am going to leave you guys a little misty-eyed here after I've told my stories. And thanks so much for listening. And thanks so much everybody in the chat for joining in. If my battery wasn't so low, I would stay for sure, guys. Anyways, I gotta pop up, and just thanks so much. And Wes, you and I will talk as soon as I get a little bit of a charge. All right, brother?
Absolutely, bro.
All right, thanks so much, you guys.
All right, thanks, John.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, I want to thank all you guys for sharing your stories here today and for taking part in this chat. I want to thank everybody who participated in the chat. The chat. And thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it. You guys doing this with me. And
it's been an absolute pleasure, Wes. It really has. It's a subject that's close to my heart, and I think for a lot of people's hearts. So it's been really nice just to have a real open discussion on what it's like to live with a mental illness and all the good things and bad things that come along with it.
Absolutely.
I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
So have I.
All right. Well, if anything, I want to leave everybody with this one tidbit. You're not alone. There are a lot of us, as you've seen today, that live with mental illness every day, and it's just getting by each day at a time and just taking those baby steps. And Megs with her story today was absolutely amazing.
Oh, I know.
Even if it's something like, yeah, exactly. Even if it's something like that, it's a baby step, and each baby step, as Zara said earlier, leads to a bigger potential, bigger. You look back and you're like, wow, I was there and now I'm here. So guys, keep fighting the fight, and much love.
Definitely. Much love, everybody. Thank y'all.
Yeah, much love. Take care, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.